Now, we go to Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 1 to 2. We want to find out what was originally their design, because they were going to go to inherit the land of Canaan. But God put all his design in them. Yeah? So, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 1. Who can read for us?
Verse 1.
Verse 1.
Now these are the commandments,
Right?
the statutes,
Yeah?
and the judgments,
Mm-hmm.
which the Lord your God
Yeah.
commanded to teach you,
Mm-hmm.
that you might do them in the land which ye go to possess it.
Right. So here in that verse, we have come up with three things. One, what did God give them? Commandments. Right? Two, what did we hear from that verse? Statutes. Three, judgments. Is it the right spelling? Right. So, from Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 1, we found God gave them commandments, yeah? Statutes, judgments. 3. For he took a people out of Egypt, isn't it? Yes. But the first thing, the people should know how to live. So he has to give them laws. That's what you do everywhere. Even in any country, the first thing you have to know what are the laws in them, isn't it? And you have to do them to abide there. Now, these are coming out of Egypt into Canaan. He gave them commandments, yeah? Statutes, yeah? And judgments. Now, let's see what was the effect of these three upon human life, yeah? Yes. Read the further verse, yeah? The next,
Thou mightest fear the Lord, thy
right.
God.
Right. Thou must have fear the Lord. Now, these were being given for a purpose, yeah? One, to fear the Lord. Yeah? Fear God. Now, God is saying, for you to fear God, yeah? I have given you commandments, statutes, judgments. Yeah? Right? Uh-huh.
To keep all his statutes and his commandments,
Right.
which I command thee,
Right.
thou and thy son,
Right?
and thy son's son,
Right.
all the days of thy life.
All the days of thy life, you have to keep this. Yeah? And what else?
And that thy days may be prolonged.
These are a source of your prolonged life.
Amen.
Now, people are dying short lives because these are not there. So God is clearly telling people, these, you have to keep the commandments, you have to keep the statutes, you have to keep the judgments. These are one, A, to fear God, 2, prolong life, and
Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee.
this, if you do, it will be well with thee.
Amen.
With thee. That's what your life needs. What does your life need? That's why when we read that quotation that says precepts were given to guard the Decalogue, it says they were binding to human life as long as life should last. So God has given these for men to fear God, And these will also prolong life. So length of days come in these, from these commandments, statutes, judgments, and that it may be well with thee. Do you understand? So God, with his love, saw how important life was. And what does life mean? Need these. Let's go to verse 17 to see another law being added. Right? Verse 17.
Verse 17.
Yes.
You shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God.
Yeah?
And his testimonies.
Do you see what is being added? Also, testimonies. Right? They've been added. So how many laws do we have? 4. Let's go together. Commandments, statutes, judgments, testimonies. Now, we want to say, why did God give these? Yeah? What was the reason? Verse 24?
Verse 24.
On Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 24? Yeah?
And the Lord commanded us to do all these statutes.
Yes?
To fear the Lord.
You see? It is to fear God. Right?
For our good always.
Prolong your life for your good always.
That he might preserve us alive.
And it's also protection.
Amen.
He will preserve us alive with this.
Yes.
So it means for me to have protection of my life, it's not a matter of hiring a security guard to keep me.
No.
You need this to protect you.
Yeah.
You need this to fear God. You need this to prolong your life. Yeah? We don't want short lives. We want length of days. And in length of days, this is the medication for that.
Yes.
So if you want long life, the medication is there. God has given the people going out of Egypt to inherit his land. He needs them to be prolonged, their lives to be prolonged. He needs them healthy. He needs them have length of days. He needs protection. He said, this is for that. In simple terms, that's what the Bible is saying, isn't it? The Bible says, I've given these. Now let's see, what are these? Because we have been told commandments. We know the 10 commandments. There are 10. Yeah? Statutes. What are statutes? Let's see what he expresses the feasts as. And when he says feasts, are they statutes? Or are they what? They are not commandments. No. They are statutes. Yes. Isn't it? Yes. Now, in any country, they have got laws and also statutory laws. Yes. They have statutes. Now, laws is you don't do this, you don't kill, you don't steal, you don't. Those are laws. Yes. Now, statutes are a type of laws that determine how you live in that place. You understand? How do you live? Some have bank holidays. Some have this holiday, Independence Day, Africa Day. You have had all those days. These come under the law statutes.
Yes. Amen.
Now, if a country has got days of holidays, what about God? God has got laws, 10 commandments. Yes. He also has holidays. Amen. That's what a country saw it fit for the inhabitants of a country to live properly. The country gave holidays. Country gave laws where the judge will judge you when you do not keep those laws, isn't it? And the country has given all that for well-being of what? Of human beings, isn't it? And God does the same. God has got a government. And the government has got laws. The law, 10 Commandments, is God's law. Right? And the holidays, he has got the holidays. They are called statutes. Yeah? They're called, you cannot worship God and say, I'll just keep your 10 Commandments without keeping these. You don't stop by just keeping 10 Commandments. You need to keep statutes. Yes. You need to keep judgments. Amen. You need to keep testimonies. Yes. This is what was designed by God to a people. Amen. Who will worship him, who will fear him, yeah? Yes. Who he will prolong their lives, and well-being of the people is in this, and also who will be protected. Amen. Huh? Now, let's read one feast and find out whether it's a statute. Let's start with just the new moon, which we all know is a feast, isn't it? Yes. Now, go to Psalms chapter 81, verse 1 to 3. Psalms chapter 81, verse 1 to 3. And see, is it a statute? Is the new moon a statute?
Yeah. Verse 1.
Verse 1.
Sing aloud unto God, our strength. Make a joyful noise unto the God of Jacob.
Yes.
Take a psalm and bring hither the timbrel,
right?
The pleasant harp with the psaltery. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon.
Yes.
In the time appointed on our solemn feast day.
The new moon is a feast. And what? Read further.
For this was a statute
to
Israel,
right?
And the law of the God of Jacob.
It's a statute, 1, and it's a law, 2, and it's a feast. Amen. Now it's got 3 things. 1, it's a feast. 2, it's a statute. 3, it's a law of God, of Jacob. Do you understand? Yes. The God of Jacob has got a law. He's got a feast. He's got a statute. Yes. Now, when we worship God, we keep the commandments and the statutes. These are feasts. And what are judgments? Judgments are laws governing men to men. Yes. Like when you find in the whole book of Leviticus, there are judgments. That when you take money from somebody and borrow it, you have got to bring it back on the debt you promised. The judgment says you have to. If you don't, the judgment says you have to put an interest. So do you see all those debts that we have? If we don't pay them on time, they charge interest. Yes. It's a judgment. Do you understand? And also there are judgments on how to keep animals. Yeah? Men shall not lie with an animal. Yeah? Men shall not. All these are judgments, laws governing neighbor to neighbor. Right? So it's for neighbor to neighbor, right? What are testimonies? We have the testimonies in the Bible, isn't it? We have the testimonies of the spirit of prophecy to the law and to the testimony. That's why when you reply or when you say something, you should support it with the testimony. The testimony should say, not you saying for it, but the testimony should say. So we have been given 4 laws: the 10 Commandments, the feasts, the judgments, and the testimonies. But as there was transgression in the land when Adam and Eve sinned, there was a law which took place, which was a temporal law. Yeah? There is a temporal law which God gave the people because there was sin. Isn't it? Yes. It was because of transgression of sin. That law took place when Adam and Eve sinned, right? And we will see that law, what it is called and where it is. It's being added to the original law with 4 laws. And it is being added. Which law is being added? Let's go to Numbers chapter 19. verse 1 and 2. We want to see an addition in the Old Testament that was added to those who were living in the Old Testament time. Numbers chapter 19, verse 1 to
Verse 1.
yeah.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, This is the ordinance of the law,
Yeah.
which the Lord hath commanded.
Do you see that law is called ordinance of a law? Right?
Which the Lord hath commanded, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel,
Yeah.
that they bring thee a red heifer without spot,
Right?
wherein is no blemish.
You see, the
Upon
people who lived in the Old Testament time now had to kill animals. And that practice was under the law called ordinance of the law. Do you understand? So that practice, that added law, so this one is being added, number 5. That was the what? Ordinance. Ordinances. And these are animal sacrifices. That was being added. That's why when you go to Galatians, it says, it was only added. It was added because of transgression. Read that verse, I need it. Because so many people think that verse is indicating the commandments. No, it's indicating the law which has been added. Now, did you see that verse, Galatians? So, what saves the law? It was added because of the transgression. Galatians chapter 3. This is the law which is being added, right? Okay. I'll put a line here so that you see demarcation. Right. So the 5th law was added. Let's hear that. Galatians chapter 3.
Verse 19.
Verse 19.
Wherefore then? The law.
Read it again.
Wherefore then serveth the law?
Right?
It was added because of transgression.
Do you see? This law, the law on ordinances, on animal sacrifice, was being added to these.
Amen.
That's what you can call Moses' law being added to God's law originals.
Amen.
This law was only added because of transgression. The law on ordinances, only the 5th law, was added to these 4. That's why Galatians is saying, what saveth the law? Now, people may mistake that verse and say, Galatians indicates the commandment. No. It is indicating to this law which is being added to the original. So if you come and say, the feasts are Moses' law, I will tell you that the feasts are God's law. Moses' law of animal sacrifice was added. It's called ordinances. You know, people just generalize. Oh, feasts were nailed to the cross. Oh, it's Moses' law. You don't even know what you're talking about. What you're talking about is an added law, the 5th law here, being added to these original. This is the only law which was added because of transgression. But the feasts were not added. The judgments were not added. The commandments were not added. The testimonies were not added. All these are heavenly laws.
Amen.
That's why in the new heaven and the new earth, we still continue to keep the new moon. Because it's heavenly.
Yes.
We still continue to keep the Passover. We still continue, yes. We still continue to keep these laws are heavenly. They continue in heaven. But this one, the ordinances or animal sacrifices, was added because of transgression. That's the law where when Adam sinned, then it took place. Straight away. After Adam sinned, he was supposed now to dress up with the animal skin. That's what happened. They found they were naked, isn't it? And what did they do? They put leaves around themselves, isn't it? But what happened was the Holy Spirit, God brought a skin of a sheep because he had killed a lamb to cover them. So this law was added. From then, they were supposed now to kill the animals. This is what happened in the Old Testament time. They were keeping all these laws together with the added one. And in the New Testament time, in our time, we no longer have this added law. You should understand, rightly divide the word of truth. Because if you just generalize and throw it with a cloak, you miss your salvation. You have to know exactly what the Bible is saying. This one of the ordinances is a law coming to add on these. What are these? Commandments, the 10 commandments. They were not added, they were original. The statutes were original. The judgments, original. Testimonies, original. Yeah? The Feast of Tabernacle, Msangano Matumba, is a statute. Amen. Let's hear where it says it's a statute. Leviticus chapter 23. Go to the Feast of Tabernacle. I think it's verse 32 or 31, somewhere there. It's a statute. All the feasts are statutes. Right?
Verse 34.
That's 34, yeah?
Speak unto the children of Israel,
yes.
saying, the 15th day
15th day
of the 7th month.
When the first month starts with April. That's what we saw. Yeah. Abib. Yeah? So the 7th month from April, let's count. April, May, June, July, August, September, October is the 7th month. Amen. It's not August. No. The 7th month is October. Now, because you are going to school or you want to keep your job or whatever, you choose a holiday time for the school. Holiday time is August, and then you say it's the Feast of Tabernacle. No, it's not the Feast of Tabernacle. That one is your own gathering. It's not the Feast of Tabernacle. According to that verse, is the 7th month, which is October. Amen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And let's read. Yeah.
Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles,
right.
7 days unto the Lord.
Read it in Jonah. Ndio msangano wa matumba. October. Kwete August. October. Don't get it wrong. Get it right. Now, how can you kudikitira ziya chako chinda pa wrong time? You know, you need to get blessings. Amen. So it's not as to the event, but also as to the time. Get the blessings. If you really want to msangano hiyo matumba yo, go to the exact time. Zofana munati ndoda kuchengeta Sabbath, oenda pa wrong day. Unowana ere blessing ya Sabbath. Ko apa manje ndopati kutofiririra wani kuinda pa wrong date. Kuqinisela sure, kuqinisela. Kutsungirira chaiko. Kutsungirira wakabaya chaipo. Yeah, don't waste time. Go exactly where God has put the blessing of the tabernacle. Amen. Amen. Tiki chiva kudenga. Then you get your blessing. Then you get these. Zanzi, you keep the one. You know, if you are telling me the feasts are nailed to the cross, so Sinai in Msangano Matumba. Why are you going Msangano Matumba if they are nailed to the cross? Don't confuse people. If you want to keep the feast, keep them properly. I want to know Guru Msangano Matumba, so Kuno Guruti Yakaroko Pamchinjiko. No, do it. It's either or. Either you keep or you don't. Right, let's read it up. EO 34.
Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord.
Unto the Lord. It's not a camp meeting for the church. It's unto the Lord. It's unto It's unto the Lord. And God has given a date. If it is unto him, go to his date. It's unto the Lord. Right? Hausi msangano wangu bawe. Hausi waningi. Ndo Mwari. It's unto him. Akana uchida kuita wako ita wako. But unto the what?
Lord.
Verse
35.
Yeah.
On the first day.
On the first day. Kana watauka on a date. On the 15th day of the 7th month is the what? Is the beginning of the Feast of Tabernacle. Right? On the first day, what happens?
On the first day shall be an holy convocation.
It's Sabbath. Whether Okatanga Wednesday. Whether it starts on Wednesday or it starts on Tuesday or on any time of the week. It's a Sabbath. That day beginning the tabernacle is a Sabbath. The Sabbath, it means apana basa rukuitu.
Yes.
No job, nothing. It's a convocation day. It's a Sabbath. Right?
Ye shall do no sever work therein.
You see? No sever work. Hakuna rokuti ntambo enda kubasa. Whether watanga na Tuesday, no sever work.
7 days.
7 days.
Shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
These are the ordinances. In our time, we don't have ordinances. Yeah? We don't have ordinances in our time. So we keep... Because those sacrifices which were done on the feast, isn't it? They were also done on a Sabbath. They were done on a new moon. These sacrifices were done on the convocations, isn't it? But now they have been taken off, but it doesn't mean that we stop keeping the Sabbath. We have to keep the Sabbath without the animal sacrifices. We have to keep the Feast of Tabernacle without the animal sacrifices in our time. That's how to keep it in the antitype.
Amen.
Haigona nitaura kuti zvese zvaimira Jesu, zvese zvaimira Jesu. Aiwa, chaimira Jesu chete is the lamb, is the animal which was being killed. It's the only thing that was standing for Christ. I have heard people say the whole feast was standing for Christ. In what sense do you mean? One thing was standing for Christ, was the animal which was being killed. But the feast, the time wasn't standing for Christ. The time was appointed by Christ for us to keep.
Amen.
Oh, now we only have Christ. That's being lazy. That's being lazy. Because these were not all standing for Christ. There was one thing which was standing for Christ. This one was standing for Christ. What about Christ? For him to die on the cross.
Yes.
That's how it was standing for Christ. Now Christ has died on the cross. This one we no longer keep. That's what was standing for Christ. But don't tell me that the commandments were standing for Christ. That's why we still keep them. You understand? The commandments still remain. The statutes still remain. The judgments still remain. The testimonies still remain. What was standing for Christ? The animal ordinances. That's what was standing for Christ. If the whole thing was standing for Christ, then let's stop also the commandments. You understand? By the same reason, if the whole thing was standing for Christ, then it means the commandments also, you stop keeping them. Yeah? If you're still keeping the commandments, all of them, except what was standing for Christ, the ordinances. It's clear, isn't it? That's clear. Let's understand the Bible and do exactly what God wants us to do the right way and get the blessing. That's all we want. We want to get the blessing and enter the pearly gates. Yeah? Now, on the first day, shall be a convocation. And how do you keep it?
7 days. You shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Right. So we no longer make that offering made by fire of animal sacrifices. Right?
On the 8th day.
On the 8th day.
Shall be an holy convocation.
On the last day, on the 8th day. Right? So it means when the week started on Tuesday. Yeah? Tuesday was day 1. Huh?
Yes.
Day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Day 8 should be Tuesday. Day 8, day 1. Don't keep the Feast of Tabernacles the way you like. I've seen people from day 1, there is no holy convocation, but they're telling me they are on the Feast of Tabernacles. There's nothing. You understand? And they start maybe on Sunday. It doesn't say so. It says you start on the 15th day of the 7th month. Yes. The problem is you do not keep the new moon, so you don't even know where 15 is. So you are just flying without a radar. The plane is flying without following the radar. You have to follow the radar. If you are keeping new moons, then you will know when the 15th is. And then you know which one is the first month and which one is the 7th. Because you do not know them, that's why you will find people on this month, August, on the first week, there is a camp meeting. Second week, another one. Third week, another one. Because there is no radar. You have to keep the new moon. That will tell you exactly when the date 15 is. You get it? So when God is saying start keeping feasts, He's serious. That's serious business. He wants you to start calculating these dates. You see, the dates are in the Bible. Yes. So that 15 is written in the Bible. Not for fun. For you to follow and be saved. And receive these blessings. Yeah? Kana inyaya yemafisika aidzokeri sure. Kusvikira vanoponeswa vadini? Vaponeswa. It's not a forced matter. But we will not stop telling the truth. You get the point? Now, the design is on the first day is a holy convocation. And it should be the 15th of the 7th month. You should be knowing it because you kept the new moon. Then you go up to 15. If you are not keeping the new moon, you go anyway. Yes. You go anyway. But I doubt very much if these blessings are there. They can flow only with time. Yeah. These are the times that God is saying in Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 7. Hear the storks in heaven, know the time. Yes. And the turtle and the dove, they know the time. But my people do not know the time. These are the times. These are the times. Yeah? On the first day is a holy convocation. And let's see at the verse, the sentence which said this is a statute. 41. Yeah.
And ye shall keep it a feast unto the Lord.
You keep it a feast unto who? The Lord. And what?
7 days.
For 7 days.
In the year.
In the year.
It shall be a statute.
It is a statute forever. You know, the same expression is there for the Sabbath. It's a Sabbath of rest forever. Now this one is a statute forever. How readest thou? That's how God mentions to the things that He has put a stamp to it. And He will never release the stamp, whether you like it or not. And He says it's forever. He has taken a stamp and whether you like it to take it, or you take, whether you keep it or you don't, it's forever. Yes. Like the Sabbath, whether you like it or not, it's forever. Amen. Now, this one is a feast of unto the Lord forever in all your generations. Amen. Now, if you are still keeping the Feast of Tabernacle or the camp meeting, it's a feast for forever. But don't keep it the way you like. Because there was someone in the Bible who kept it the wrong way. If you go to 1 Kings chapter 12, you'll find that person. It was Jeroboam. He kept it the way he liked. I know we are reaching August now. So you will hear, listen, and clear your ears and listen.